Welcome back to Triad Takes. NFL Week 2 is done, and once again, chaos didn't RSVP. It just showed up. Fantasy owners are rethinking their life choices. Let's break it down. Welcome back to Triad Takes. I'm here with Caleb. We're both here in Breckenridge, Colorado, so we're not too far from Denver, the Mile High City.
Yes, sir. So Justin and Sydney are not here with us, so they had to send their predictions in via text/Discord.
All right, let's get right into the Week 2 games. Lions, Bears. The Lions put up 52 points against the Bears, and Jared Goff threw 5 touchdowns. Chicago's defense looked terrible, and I can't say much better about Caleb Williams. So let's get to the next game.
Buccaneers survived tight battle versus the Texans, 20-19. Baker Mayfield once again delivered a gut-wrenching late drive to lift Tampa Bay. The Texans, they just wasted several chances. It just seems like they left their clutch gene in the locker room here. But the Buccaneers survive. And Brandon, we have to talk about this Panthers game. Once again, our hometown team let us down. The Cardinals edge out the Panthers in a nail-biter. Surprisingly, a nail-biter, 27-22. Arizona gets out to a big lead with Bryce Young having a fumble and another interception. They built the early lead, and they held on despite a furious comeback by the Panthers. We had a late touchdown and then an onside kick recovery, which seems very few and far and in between nowadays. But we almost turned the epic comeback.
Yeah, we really thought that we were the bad luck charm for the Panthers, but even when we're not in North Carolina, they're still losing, so I guess that's not it.
The Eagles upset the Chiefs 20-17 in a rematch of the Super Bowl. Mahomes just couldn't find consistency. It looks like they couldn't move the ball very, very well. But the Eagles made every stop count.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a different year for the Chiefs. They actually lost a one-score game.
And Daniel Jones looks like he pulls off a close game again against the Broncos, 29-28, as the Colts pull off another one. It looks like the Colts might actually be good this year, but who knows? Brandon, you got anything to say?
Yeah, at least liked what I saw from Bo Nix. At least he's doing a little better for my fantasy lineup. But other than that, I ain't got too much. They lost Javonte Williams, and it shows.
And Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos lose a close one here. Let's move to the next game. The Ravens dominate the Browns, 41-17. I think last week we said that we would take the Ravens 10.5, minus 10.5, and it looks like we would have been right because they won by 24.
Yeah, I think there's no surprise here. I mean, they had Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar got it done in the passing game as well. Not like he needed to, but worked out.
And it's not like Derrick Henry had a big game because the Ravens got off to a big lead and they didn't really need him at the end. But let's move on. And the Cowboys win in a close game against the Giants in a division game. They went into overtime, and looks like Dak Prescott just got the better of Russell Wilson, but it was a high-scoring game. No defense, really.
Yeah, it's pretty bad from both defenses. When wasn't really impressed with either other offense. I will say I did like Javonte Williams. I know I just got done talking about him with Denver. I think he's a really good player. Moving on to the final game we'll cover, the Rams versus the Titans. Puka Nacua looked really good again, and I think he'll look like that all year. I'm going to make a strong prediction and say he's getting 2,000 yards receiving. What do you think, Caleb?
Oh, my goodness. I definitely say he would get over 1,000 guaranteed, 1,500. But 2,000 is a big one to say. Hey, I do think we have to talk about these Triad Take guarantees that we made last week. We had 5 people on the podcast, and all 5 people said these 4 games were going to go one way. Brandon, how did it shake up?
The closest one we had was Dallas versus the Giants. I didn't think it was going to be that close, but Dallas still pulled it out in overtime.
Guarantee.
Insert the soundbite. And then we got Detroit, and they absolutely killed their opponent. And then we got the Rams, which was a little bit closer, but they still edged out the Titans with Cam Ward. And then Baltimore, they killed the Browns. So we were pretty good. I think we did pretty good.
I feel like the Baltimore game is kind of like you're playing bingo and you get the free space. That was that one. So, but either way, guys, Triad Take guarantees. Parlayed them all, you would have won. But guaranteed them all. 4 games in a row. Let's see how this week shakes up. Will couldn't be here, but I would be mad at myself if I did not mention the Bills because that is his favorite team if you remember last week. So, the Bills win Again, I believe they win a big game against the Jets. The Jets looked good in their first game against the Steelers, but again, we don't know much about these two teams. But the Buffalo Bills pull it off again. Josh Allen, 148 yards only, but he did get 59 yards rushing. But James Cook went off in this game with 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brandon, anything to mention about Wheels Bills?
Wills Bills. Let's see. I mean, when your quarterback's the leading rusher, it's usually not too good unless your name's Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields had under 50 yards rushing. Brees Hall only had 29. I kind of want to see more of Braylon Allen, but he's still playing that sidekick role. He's more of a physical back, and I think they could use him more.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to mention? Anybody that did really well on your fantasy team that you think really excelled or really did poorly this week?
All right, I got a few here that did pretty good. I mean, I think I'm just riding high and mighty with Baker Mayfield all year. He's been putting up solid numbers. He had 2 passing touchdowns, only 215 yards, but that's pretty solid numbers. I think my best pickup of the year was picking up Baltimore's new kicker whenever he got announced. He scored about 13 for me in my league.
And Jamar Chase finally entered the chat after his abysmal first week. This week, 165 yards receiving, 1 touchdown reception, 14 reception. I mean, that's 38.5 points in PPR leagues. That's kind of insane.
I got a few players on my bench that I think if it's not picked up in your league, maybe you should go check it out. These are more long-term stash options. I picked up Rashee Rice, I think, at the beginning of the year, and Joe Mixon as well. I got him in the last round of the draft, and I think that might do me some good. I think they have Nick Chubb right now at Houston. So, yeah.
Yeah, Zach Ertz with another touchdown. Tyler Kraft with another touchdown. It looks like tight ends are really doing well this year. Juwan Johnson happened to be a good pickup from last week, which what I mentioned.
I got one more guy who had a little bit of a bounce back. Cooper Kupp actually got a few targets this week. He had 9 targets, 7 receptions, and 90 yards. So if he throws a touchdown with that, he's a tight end. My gosh, he's a wide receiver too.
I think that's enough to mention about fantasy week 2. I lost our dad this week, so I kind of want to leave that there. All right, let's move to predictions of week 3. Justin sent his in this week, so we will mention those as well. We do not know these picks before we pick ours, so we will say his when we say ours. Sydney didn't send his in time, so I guess we'll just leave his out. Justin is still hurting over Tennessee's loss to Georgia this week. Justin actually went up to Tennessee, went to game day, did all the 9 yards there, and still went to the game. Got all the way down to the end. We were texting throughout. Thought that they had it. All they had to do was make that last kick, and they just couldn't do it, and they couldn't pull it out in overtime. But Georgia wins there, and I think Justin's still a little aggravated over that one. But let's move on to week 3 predictions.
So for the Thursday night game, we got Miami versus Buffalo, and they have the line at 11.5 in Buffalo's favor. What do you think, Caleb? What do you think about that game?
Well, Miami has looked pretty bad as of late. Buffalo looks like they can't be stopped. I do not think they cover the 11.5, but I think Buffalo easily wins this one. I think Miami has a little bit of a comeback game and makes it closer than we think. Brandon, what do you say?
I just don't know if Tua has it in them still, but if they were playing an easier team than Buffalo, I might give them the edge. But Buffalo's just looks so good. I think they're going to cover the spread at 11.5 and win. So,
all right, let's look at Justin's pick for this game. Justin has the Bills, so this will be our first Triad Takes guarantee of week 3. Go ahead and write it down. Make your bets. Easy money here. Let's move on to game 2.
So game 2, we have Jets and Buccaneers. Let's see, what do you think about that one, Caleb? The spread is at 6.5 in Buccaneers' favor.
Well, the Jets have looked okay, but they've got 2 losses here to start. Baker Mayfield looks like he can still pull out a game that is not good for the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Buccaneers straight up here. I don't know that they cover the 6.5. I could see them winning by 1 to 3 or 4 points. So let's take the Buccaneers for me. Brandon, what do you think?
I think if you have to rely on Justin Fields, it's kind of a problem here. They just need to get their ground attack going, and if they have to rely on Justin Fields' passing game, I don't think they can do it. I think Buccaneers carried or covered the spread as well at 6.5.
And Justin also says the Buccaneers, go figure, because that's his favorite team. But he's riding high on them this year, and I think me and Brandon are also. This will be our second and our back-to-back Triad Takes guarantee. Go ahead and parlay those first two and send it. All right, game 3.
All right, the next game is Steelers Patriots, and they have the Steelers at 1.5. So a pretty tight game here. What do you think, Kim?
This one's tough. It's definitely a close game. And as the line shows, it's a close game. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about either team. I would lean toward the Steelers on this one. I just don't like the Patriots this year. I know they're both 1-1. The Steelers just had not a bad game, but it was just not a great game. So Aaron Rodgers had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, and Jalen Warren was the game leader in both rushing yards and receiving yards for the Steelers. So whenever it's the same person, it's probably not good. Let's go Steelers.
All right, I'll give my take. Let's see. I'm going to say Steelers as well, and I think I'm more erring on the side of Aaron Rodgers' experience versus Drake May's. I don't think either offense is that scary. If he can force the ball to DK Metcalf, especially in the goal line offense, I think that's going to be scary.
Well, let's see what Justin picked for this game as well. And I'm laughing already. Justin picked the Steelers as well, which means we are all on the same wavelength, which means our record might not stand this week. But Steelers, Triad Takes guarantees that the Steelers will win this game.
I think we all had the same thought process. We just thought that Aaron Rodgers just has a little more veteran capabilities there, so I don't know. Maybe it'll happen.
Let's give Mike Tomlin the edge on this one. The teams are probably well matched.
All right, let's move on to the game of the week. Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers. They have the line at 5.5 towards the Falcons' favor. Go figure. All right, what do you got, Caleb?
I hesitate to even speak on anything Panthers, as I have picked them in both of the first 2 weeks, and nothing has happened. The Falcons have actually looked good. They're 1-1. Obviously, the Panthers are 0-2. I don't even think I have to say that. I think it's going to be close, Brandon. I really do. I think the Panthers have a good offense if we could stop turning the ball over. I hate to say this. The Carolina Panthers win this game. It's the first game that we win. Let's go.
All right, that's good because we got off the Triad Takes guarantee bus because I'm obviously going the Falcons. I love the Panthers, and Charlotte's not far away, but I don't know. Atlanta's not even good, but Bajan's good, so I'll give him the edge.
I will say, when you have a special team in your heart, logic does not matter. At this time, logic does not matter. Justin, on the other hand, logic mattered. The Atlanta Falcons win for Justin. But the Triad Takes company as a whole cannot guarantee this win. Do not bet, because the Panthers will win.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. We got Indianapolis Colts and Tennessee Titans. They have the line in the Colts' favor at 4.5. What do you think about that
one? I don't like the Titans.
I also do not like the Titans.
Just sitting here, I just can't think that the Titans are going to win this game. Cam Ward has not looked great to start the season. The Colts have just looked like the better team. I'm going Colts. I'm going for them to cover the 4.5 points. Colts are winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at the offenses mano-a-mano, I mean, the Colts have looked so much better with Daniel Jones this year. I don't know why he's doing so good this year. Danny Dimes is real, I guess. And they have Jonathan Taylor, so, I mean, that can't hurt.
And Justin picks the Colts over the Titans. That means we can guarantee this game as a Triad Takes guarantees. We are pretty much guaranteeing that this thing does not go on, basically. Let's move on to the next game.
All right, we have Bengals-Vikings. And they actually have Vikings at 2.5 as favorites. What do you think?
This is a close game. But with Joe Burrow being out, I think that J.J. McCarthy can get this win. I think they cover the 2.5 points. I mean, sitting here thinking, I don't know if the Bengals can win another game without Joe Burrow. I'm just going to go the other way on this one.
All right. Well, I just want to let you know that I've been looking up who the backup is for Cincinnati, and I don't think Jake Browning is going to do it. I think the Vikings have looked pretty good still, and I think the spread should be a little bit higher, to be honest. But I will go Vikings. All right, so let's look at what Justin picked. He's with us in spirit, and I guess he just wants another Triad Takes guarantee here. So I guess if this parlay hits, we're living pretty here. He went with the Falcons. That's not the game. He went with the Vikings. My bad. Sorry about that. So we'll get into the Washington Raiders game, and they have Washington at 3.5. I will say I had Washington winning last week, and that did not happen. I thought Jane Daniels was going to be a little better than he was, but what do you think about that one, Kid?
I think the Raiders have looked really well with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith at the helm. However, I do think the Commanders have a comeback here and beat the Raiders. I think it's a close one. I think straight up I would take them. I don't know that they cover the 3.5. So let's go Commanders by 1 or 2.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and break this try to take guarantee. I'm going to go Raiders. I think I like the experience of, who was it, Geno Smith back here? Yeah, I think I like that. I'll take that.
Justin goes the same way that I do. Commanders win for Justin. Brandon, let's move on.
All right, we have Green Bay versus Browns. I think you can guess who the favorites are here, but 7.5 in the Packers' favorite. What you got?
I'm going to go the favorite. The Packers win. The Browns just haven't had it together.
I think that's about all we need to talk about it because the Ravens just killed them. I know the Ravens might be better than the Packers, but I can't guarantee that. So I think it's going to be a blowout.
Justin also has the Packers winning this game. We are guaranteeing it.
All right, we got Rams at Eagles. With Eagles as the favorite, only 3.5. I feel like that's pretty close, but the Rams will look pretty good this year.
I agree. The Rams are okay, but the Eagles are the Eagles. They're looking like a team that might could go 16-0 if nobody steps on their foot. But anyway, let's go Eagles in this game.
All right, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but I think the Rams got this. I think Saquon goes down in the first quarter. I ain't going to lie.
What?
I think I'm going to say Saquon's going to get hurt. I don't want him to, and I don't want to give him any bad mojo, but, it is what it is, I guess.
All right, you've heard it here first. If Saquon Barkley goes down in the first quarter, then Brandon is either in the future, from the future, or he is Saquon Barkley's best friend, and he's going to win a lot of money on this game, which is going to make him and Saquon go to jail. Anyway.
Right, let's get to Justin's pick.
Well, Justin picks. Does he pick? I can't even find his pick here. I'm assuming he picks the Eagles because I can't find his pick. I cannot say this is a Triad Takes guarantee because Brandon picks the Rams.
Oh, he picked the Rams.
No way.
The Rams is in there. Let's go.
No way. Okay. Well, this is going to be fun because the Eagles are going to win this game. And I'm going to make $5 off of Justin and Brandon. And this is going to be a great day. All right. Next game, I guess.
All right. Let's get to the next one. We got Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars. And they got the Jaguars as the favorites at 1.5.
I like Houston in this game. C.J. Stroud has gotten off to a rough start here with the Texans. But I do think that he corrects the ship here. The Jacksonville Jaguars have looked like a really good team. I know they lost late last week, but they won against the Panthers the first week. They've looked pretty good. I just think that the Texans being down 0-2 have a chip on their shoulder and then have something to show. So I think they win this game.
All right. This is not going to be a guarantee because I'm going to go Jaguars. I think that Travis Etienne is a lot more dangerous than Nick Chubb is, and I think he's going to come down to running game a little bit. What did Justin say about this one?
Justin also went with the Jags. I really don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what you're thinking because the Texans are going to win this game, and they're the underdogs, so go ahead and bet on them, America. And Russia for the guys who listen to us in Russia, or girls.
Shout out to the Russia crowd over there.
Whether that's legal or not in Russia, I don't know. So let's move on before we get in trouble.
All right, we got Broncos at Chargers with Chargers favorites by 2.5 points. What do you think? This is a divisional game, right?
Yeah, it's a divisional game, and we are close to Denver, so my heart wants to say, okay, Denver is going to win this game. Um, but I just think the Chargers are a better team. I think Sean Payton has actually done well with the Broncos over the last year. I just think the Chargers with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen's looking really good in his return. They still have Lad McConkey. I know that Brandon does not like the running back for the Chargers. Is there any reason why?
I think I think the reason why I don't like Amari Hampton is just because he's not that good at football. No, I'm just kidding. He just hasn't looked as explosive as he did in college, and that's to be seen, obviously. And maybe if he had a slightly better line, it'd look a little easier. But I'm gonna go. You went Chargers, right?
I went Chargers.
That's kind of crazy. I'm gonna go Denver, and it's not just to spite Caleb. It's because I think that Bo Nix is gonna use his feet a lot this game, and I think it's gonna be hard to cover.
Well, it looks like Justin has jumped on the same bandwagon as you with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. The Broncos are going to win this game for Justin, but again, no guarantee here. Let's move it.
All right, we got Saints at Seahawks. Seahawks are favorites by 7.5. That's a good bit, but the Saints do suck. So, what do you think?
I mean, there's no way. Again, I believe the Saints are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I do think the Panthers are better than the Saints. I think the Seahawks are better than the Saints. I think that Sam Darnold is better than who is the quarterback? Is it Rattler? Is that his name?
Shane Rattler.
Shane Rattler. That tells you how much we know about the Saints, and I don't really care there. The Seattle Seahawks win this game. They may win by more than 7.5. Let's go. They're covering it.
All right. I think the only dangerous weapon on the Saints is Alvin Kamara, and I think he's about 42. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Okay, covering too. So
42 years old for Alvin Kamara. It looks like that Justin went the Seahawk route as well. Triad Take guarantees that the Seahawks beat the Saints this week. Let's move it.
All right, we got Cowboys at Bears.
Them boys.
And Cowboys are only favorites by 1.5. Maybe it's because they couldn't really put down the Giants that easy.
Probably so. I could see this game going either way. I know Caleb Williams is looking pretty good this year, but they've started out 0-2. Cowboys got a late win in week 2. So I'm going Cowboys in this game. They're back to a winning team. Let's see if they can make the playoffs. Them boys win again.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think the Giants' offense is better than Chicago's offense. What do you think? Is that a bold take?
Yeah, that one's tough. Chicago's got 2 running backs that are better than the Giants' running backs.
Am I dumb?
DeAndre Swift is one of them.
I get it.
And now since you mentioned that, they have another good running back, but I can't remember it here. Hey, give us a second, America. We don't have everything memorized.
Look it up while I talk about my take here. All right. I'm going to go Cowboys. And I think it's because they put up so many points. I'm just hoping their defense just somewhat comes alive and Caleb Williams gives his patented 1 or 2 interceptions that just swings it their way.
All right. So the second guy for the Chicago Bears is Kyle Monanji.
All right.
All right. I butchered the name, but I have heard he's pretty good. But
Oh, man.
yeah. I thought there was someone else on this team, and apparently I was wrong.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift is still better than Cam Scatterbo, though. I think the Bears' offense is better.
Scatterbo the starting running back?
Yeah,
They
I
have
think
Tyrone
so.
Tracy anymore or no? They actually do have Tyrone Tracy, but I guess he's just not better than Cam Scatterbo. I don't know. He's the starter.
Anyway, I went the boys. You went the boys?
I went the boys, and I think they covered the 1.5 spread because that is so small.
Okay, and it looks like the Triad Takes is on the boys' bandwagon. Another guarantee for the boys.
All right, so next game is Arizona versus the 49ers. They're both 2-0, and they have the 49ers at 2.5-point favorites.
I think that's right. I think the 49ers win this game. I think it is close. Arizona has won a couple games, but they beat Carolina, and who was the other team they beat?
Yeah, they actually beat the Saints the first game, so arguably worse than the Panthers, but I think they're about the same.
Yeah, those are not two good teams to play against to get wins against, so I definitely don't think the Cardinals win. The 49ers take this one. Brandon.
Yeah, I'm not too scared of the 49ers here, but I do think they're the better football team. I think Ricky Pearsall has a good game, and I'm not just saying that because he's on my fantasy team, so I'll go 49ers.
All right, let's pull up what Justin has here. Looks like Justin also has the 49ers, so all three of us have the 49ers. We just don't see the Cardinals winning. Triad Takes, guaranteeing this pick 49ers over the Cardinals. Got a couple more games here left.
All right, so let's get to Kansas City and the Giants are playing each other, and Chiefs are favorites by 6.5, which I guess they haven't looked great. I would expect the spread to be more, but they haven't looked great offensively.
No, but neither has the Giants, except the game against the Cowboys. But how good is the Cowboys' defense? We don't know yet. I just don't see the Chiefs losing 3 games in a row for the first time, and I don't even remember.
Okay.
So the Chiefs are going to win this game. Let's say a blowout here. They're going to win by 14.
I like that take. I think they're at least covering the spread at 6.5. That's only a touchdown and an extra point. Giants put up big numbers last week, but I think they're facing a little bit of a stingier defense this week in the Chiefs.
All right, Chiefs win again. Let's move it to Justin's pick, and he's with the Chiefs. So here we go again. The Triad Take guarantees continue to roll in week 3. This parlay is about to be massive. Last game, I think, here. This is a fun one.
All right, it is Detroit versus the Ravens. I think this is definitely going to be the most fun game of the week. I expect it to be high scoring, especially after what Detroit did last week. Ravens are favorites by 4.5.
Detroit looked great last week. The Ravens have always looked great. This one's tough because the Lions just have that grit. Man, I'm going to pull up the upset here. The Lions are going to win this game. The Ravens are just not going to have enough. I think the Lions get it done.
I think it's going to be like that Buffalo game against the Ravens. I think it's going to be really close, and I think that I don't know. The Ravens are really good at losing by 1 or 2 points, so I think it'll be Detroit after seeing their offensive, showdown work out.
Looking at Justin's last pick here, looks like he has the Ravens. So the Bogus brothers have the Lions. Justin has the Ravens. Cannot guarantee this one, and that wraps it up for week 3 predictions. Brandon, anything else you're looking at this week? Any specifics or anything you're excited about?
I'm going to plug Puka Nacua every week. I think he gets over 100 yards receiving. I can't say 2 touchdowns, but I'm going to guarantee 1.
I'm looking at Mike Evans. I still want him to get that 1,000-yard season, but I think he's around 56 for both of those first 2 games. So we'll have to see how this shakes out. It doesn't look good for the start for Mike Evans, but Emeka and Buka, and I cannot pronounce that name to save the life of me. But it looks like he is actually a stud, and Tet McMillan for the Panthers is also a stud. Genty is looking okay. He's getting a lot of carries, but the Raiders' offensive line is just not getting it done for him. He's having to do some pretty cool moves just to get 2 or 3 yards.
I will say I put all of our Triad Take guarantees in a parlay here, and it's about at plus 4,000 odds. So $1 to win about $40. So I'm definitely putting $1 or 2 into that.
All right, Brandon, just for those 17 listeners here, let's recap the guarantees for week 3 predictions for the NFL.
All right, we got Buffalo beating the Dolphins. They're heavy favorites. We got Tampa Bay beating the Jets. They're pretty heavy favorites, but that one might be a little closer. We'll see. We got Pittsburgh beating the Patriots. That's a borderline game. We got the Colts beating Tennessee. We got Minnesota beating Cincinnati without Joe Burrow. We got Green Bay beating Cleveland after Cleveland just got killed, so I think that's fine. We got New Orleans losing to the Seahawks because they're New Orleans. And we got them boys beating Chicago, which I think is pretty good after putting up their offensive showdown.
That one's close. That one could get us the loss, but let's move on.
All right, and then we got the 49ers beating the Cardinals. That's also a pretty close game.
Yep.
But yeah, we got the 49ers. All right, and then we got the Chiefs beating the New York Giants, which I think that'll happen.
Well, hey, when it comes to these parlays, you got to have some close games that you go one way or the other. And if 3 of the Triad Takes guys goes one way on the same exact game, that means we're guaranteeing it. That means this is a better than most parlay. It would have won you last week. Brandon just made it. It looks like Brandon's going to ride high this week because all of these are going to win, guys. But anyway, Justin and Sydney and Will should be back next week. Like I said, me and Brandon are in Colorado on vacation. I'm going to watch the really good Colorado Rockies baseball team tomorrow. Would much rather watch the Denver Broncos this weekend, but we got to fly back to North Carolina. But this wraps up week 3 of Triad Takes. See you again next week, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.